Hey fellow explorers, Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to The Wandering Village. Episode 3, Scavenging Ruins and Resources. So Corn's got done, and you guys want me to get stonemason, which I have exactly enough material. I had 76 out of 75. So, perfect. So after we get that, here's a jumbo list of what comes next. So, just to explain the choices, landscaping is to make houses nicer. Mycology would be like hill shrooms or rock trumpets. Commands would be eat command or sleep command. Farming would be the tomatoes that I've yet to get. Feeding catapults up here to feed Onbu. We have Onbuologist if we want to study the Onbu. We've got dung collection if we want to start collecting dung for composting. We have huts, which are a nicer house. We've got kitchens if we want to start cooking meals. Herbalist if we want to start planting herbs. Village doctor, so if our villagers become sick, we're able to heal. My 2 cents, you kind of need an herbalist before a village doctor, because a village doctor uses herbs to heal people, and if you don't have a regular source of herbs from an herbalist, you'll run out. And town square, which is a large decoration thing for your houses. So, them's the choices. There's also, you know what? Probably thumb on the scale a little bit. The most important might be the scavenger hut, which allows you to send out teams into the world to harvest things like ancient notes or iron ore. And now that we have both of the resource processors researched, working on a scavenger hunt might make most sense. I know, thumb on the scale, but, you know, so be it. Oh no, corn is not gonna work for us either. Okay, so we'll stay on beets. We're outside of the temperature of corn. Okay, I thumbed on the scale pretty hard there, and you guys are voting for the scavenger hut as a result. So, makes sense. All right, let's do a search for all berry bushes that I might have overlooked that are deep in the forest. So this is a harvest and remove, harvest only fully grown objects, which I can actually, and then harvest only crops. So if there's mature berry bushes out here, it would be tagged for harvest. But I think almost all the berries have been relocated to the farm. I think there's like 4 left that haven't, or 5. Because there's a berry bush right there. So 6, 7 left that haven't, but for the most part, they're all been collected. Okay, I'll resolve that poll. So scavenger hut is going to be next. Copy that. So given that we want to research the scavenger hut is going to require us to have 25 planks to research, 20 planks to build, so 45 planks. So we're going to need to start collecting, making planks a bit more. So I'm going to ramp up the carpenter a bit. You also see in food summary, when it goes yellow, that means rationing has been enacted. Meaning that people only eat when they're, like, starving. Because I'm not producing enough food for everyone. Not yet, at least. Laura, thank you for the resub. Now, we are just starting to get the harvests going in this farm field. So that is subject to change. I think we're going to start producing a lot more pretty soon. Another way to stretch food terrifically is kitchen. But that's not our next research project. There we go, stonemason. The current priority right now is provide sufficient food and research scavenger. So another way to provide sufficient food, it might be to add another farm into the mix. Or to stop bringing on refugees until we have a better food source. So the scavenger hut is going to be the next research, but I'm going to keep my research building offline until all of the materials have been acquired, which we almost have all the wood planks, but that means mostly getting the stonemason up so we can get the stone slabs. Because without the stonemason up and running, you know, there is no scavenger hut. Now, if you're worried about my food, tomatoes would help as well, and I do have enough water and clay for it. So what I might end up doing, because one of the priorities is to shore up our food supply, is I'll go ahead and research tomatoes, even though it wasn't necessarily voted on, to see if, you know, farming tomatoes is going to be a viable solution for us. So, other than clay, researching tomatoes doesn't really compete with researching the scavenger hunt either. So the reason, if you're wondering why I'm not harvesting corn, it's not warm enough. And cactus, again, not warm enough. The other crops aren't viable in this current climate. The smaller stone nodes out here, now that all my berry collectors are probably done collecting all the wild berries, I'm going to trigger to be collected by hand, because these are really low yield, and they're mostly just terrain blockers. It's just a single stone per tile. It takes almost no time at all to harvest, and clearing them out will help to build the stonemason, and then also to make room for additional projects. So I have all the planks that I need for the research project, but we want to get 20 more than that so we can actually build the thing too. And I'll keep the carpenter going until we get maybe about 50 planks, maybe a little more. Onbu's about to hit the hardy mushrooms, and he will absolutely decide to eat them. The other thing I want you guys to do is, and I forget exactly how this works, but can you decide what path to take now that I have a hornblower? I think in the integration there should be a way for you to decide that. There might be a prompt. Just let me know in the chat, because I forget exactly how it works. So there are mushrooms on the road here, and Onbu will absolutely decide to eat them. I mean, he's hungry enough that he's just going to do that. There we go. Onbu eats. We might not physically be close enough to the crossroads to trigger it. Let me double check. Twitch. Chat decides Onbu's movement on. Nope. There'll be a prompt, I think. Worst case scenario, I could always pull for it. But I'll just wait until we get closer. Alright, tomatoes got done. Go back to Scav Hut. Furlough the researchers. And then are tomatoes going to be a good crop for us here? Yes. So I'm going to transition from beets, which are inefficient, to tomatoes, which will be a lot higher yield. The only downside to tomatoes is you use a lot of water, but I have a lot of water, so that's not an issue. And here we go. Here's our stonemason. This next group is 3 nomads, and I'm not planning on adding any additional nomads for a bit, even if they arrive, until we've shored up our food supply. Looking for wild crops in here. How's our berry now? It's got, wow. It's got 62 berries in it. Looking good. So I'm going to say plant and harvest. I don't think there's 4 more seeds, actually. So let's do only plant for now. And then I'll use my random laborers to harvest the berries until all the seeds are planted. That's a good way to, because if not, what ends up happening is random laborers can't actually be assigned to plant. They can only be assigned to harvest, so only the berry gatherer workers can plant. So I'm telling them to only plant. Do we have dirt path cleared enough to make mushrooms worth it yet? Mushrooms aren't a food that we eat until we get kitchen. So unless we haven't eaten mushrooms for another reason, like feeding Onbu, mushrooms are not something we need to bother with. There we go. There's the tomatoes. So it looks like for the directions, both directions have sleeping spots. North direction has an old encampment that looks like it might have tools. South direction has nomads. But that's all I can glean at this moment. So they look roughly identical. The north has also stinkhorn fungi, healthy food, but nauseating smell, which will dampen the moods of your villagers. Not a big deal. Our mood is fine. Just an FYI. So Onbu seems unsure about which path to take at the upcoming crossroads. I think this is the prompt for you guys to decide. I don't see what you see, but I think there should be an overlay option popping up about that now. If I'm not mistaken. No overlay prompt? Well, I have the hornblower. Well, in that case, I think it's a bit late to pull, so I'll pull next time, because there's not enough time to affect a pull. Oh, here we go. I just had to click the crossroads. Ah, there we go. So now we learned. Although I don't know if real-time counting has worked, or maybe it just takes you guys a moment to vote one way or another. So I think what I did was I picked northeast, and you can either agree with me or disagree with me. So in the future, I'm always going to pick northeast. I'm not going to like make an informed decision, and you can just yes or no is basically going to be the are we going that way or not. So I'm going to turn off the hornblower so that we can recover the person that was working there and put them back to work elsewhere. But we are indeed heading northeast towards the storm cloud, the stinkhorn fungi, and the abandoned encampment. I believe we're at a point where all of the seeds that I have got used up. So let's do one last survey. Uproot. So the immature berry bushes here, when they're not matured, don't actually yield seeds. You need to wait for them to grow more. So I think every single berry that is on the map tile I've hit, but I'll just double check with collection drags. Because there's this one that is not mature. Yeah, okay. So we're done with the berry gathering, which means my berry gatherer can harvest and plant. Because they're no longer needed to just plant. Perfect. We are 1 slab... Oh, no, sorry, it's 15, not 10. We're 5 slabs away from being able to build the scavenger... or research the scavenger hut, and then we need 3 more planks and a certain amount of slabs. 10 more slabs. So 15 more slabs to be able to actually build it. That will be pretty useful. Pretty useful to have. The follow-up question I have for you guys is, what should I research after I get scav? Here's the choices. If you want thumb on the scale... Oh, you know what? Farming really isn't an option. Is it anymore? No, farming really isn't much of an option anymore. So let me nix that from the poll. And my 2 cents... Huts leading to town square or herbalist leading to village doctor might be nice. Or kitchen probably is the most important of all of them. So we can start making more complex meals and stretching our food out. But ultimately, I'll leave it up to you. Once all of the reseeded berry bushes mature, this will be a much more reliable source of food. Having to relocate all the berry bushes, there's a lag time until they start producing berries. But eventually, we'll be able to come to rely on that as a food source. Two storms up ahead. Well, that's good for our tomatoes. That'll be really good for water. And we got 3 more tools from the camp. So if you're wondering about the building upgrades, the building upgrade research is here right after scavenger camps. I didn't include it in the polling. I could have, but it looks like for now we're going to get kitchen next. But I'll include building upgrades on a future poll. I'm also going to put down another air well or 2 and run another road. Ooh, I didn't mean to. That was knee-jerk reaction. I didn't mean to accept nomads, so they're homeless. So let's make it a high priority to build them some houses, so they're not pissed. So my happiness. My needs are now 2, because we've hit a new population threshold, as you can see down here, right next to my head. So we have a minimum happiness of 7, which means there's a little bit of upheaval at the moment, because our happiness is 6 out of 7. Well, that's actually to attract nomads. So up here, you can see that the nomads aren't going to come until I have a maintained happiness of 7 or greater. which will be maintained as soon as we fix the homelessness issue. So a little whoopsie, but, you know, it's no problem. I could use the extra labor. I just had been planning not to add any people in until we fixed our food shortage. So likely, Onbu might decide to eat the stinkhorn. It's not really a problem one way or the other. And there's yet another rain cloud up ahead, which is good for tomatoes. And we're starting to get our first tomato harvest, which is great. Scavenging hut is about halfway to done. And then we can start exploring the wasteland out there to gain more materials. This should be a pretty good indicator that, like, you don't need that many crop fields. That even with all the crop fields that we currently have, we can't actually plant all the plots. Another thing I could do to shore up food is just to tell my, free workers to help harvest the berries, so we have a bit of a surplus of extra berries. So we have a daily consumption of 33, you know, 1 per person, and a total of 41. So we're staying ahead of our most urgent necessities, but not by much margin. Certainly not comfortable enough to say that we've shored up food, sufficient food. That will probably come once I've got kitchens, though. Is he not going to eat? Not over the hunger threshold, so maybe you'll skip this meal. What's the capacity to store food? So a pantry can hold 50 of each. And because I'm not close to having 50 of each, I'll build another pantry when we need one, but I definitely don't need one just yet. We have also 1 stone slab away from having all the stone we need for the scavenger hut. So the scavenger hut research just got done. The next one that we're going to queue up is kitchen. But before I queue up kitchen, I think it's going to be more important for us to actually physically get a scavenger hut up. And as you can see, the scavengers have to be along the edge of Onbu. I think the easiest edge for me to get out to is maybe here. Because I don't want the materials that the scavenger hut needs to be earmarked for any other reason. And because our mining hut is just about done with all the resources in this area, I'm going to change the road path. Let's shut this down for now until we have the scav hut up, because it's important not to waste those materials. But eventually we'll go for kitchen once the hut's built. Is food for him scarce? No, we can grow it on our on his back pretty easily. He eats mostly mushrooms, so food scarcity for Onbu is not an issue. We can solve it pretty easily. Plus, there's a lot of wild mushrooms that are just out here. So we've been collecting wild mushrooms. We have 38 already. Nice. A new air well has been built, and I'll get another water collector for that. So we have almost doubled the amount of food stored that we need. Nearly. Doubled would be 66. We're up to almost 50. Oh, 58. Yeah, it's jumping after we like haul and harvest. So we're doing pretty good on food now. It just took a minute for the tomatoes to really start to spin up the yield. Onbu did not, because he wasn't over this critical, it's probably, you can't see it, but over 60% he'll like eat no matter what. So he didn't decide to eat the stinkhorn, for better or for worse. And almost all the material for the scav hunt has been delivered. And the scavenger hut is what I was referring to, that resources are not finite. Because if you run out of, like, trees, you can always go to a forest to collect more trees. And this circle here is what you can scavenge without supplies. This is like a day trip. Everything that you can see technically can be scavenged, but you need scavenging rations to be able to get out there because it's pretty far away. And we don't have the capacity to make scavenging rations just yet. But this will allow our scavenger team to collect resources that we're scarce on, like, for instance, berry seeds or mushrooms, which is a really powerful tool to be able to deal with shortages. There was another way to deal with shortages as well. The other way to deal with shortages is you can also get a trade post. And a trade post allows you to exchange resources with traders that periodically visit you. And that can also be a really powerful tool to deal with resource shortages. So Onbu has decided to sleep in this Onbu sleeping spot. The Onbu sleeping spot is an area completely free of poison, ground poison. So it's a safe spot for Onbu to sleep. Generally speaking, when Onbu is laying on the ground, and this isn't really true very early on in the game, during the tutorial phase, but later on, the soil tends to be pretty polluted, so sleeping anywhere but deserts and sleeping spots comes with some pretty steep poison costs, where Onbu gets poisoned, and then, by extension, the villagers get poisoned because they're riding on the back of a poisoned animal. Alright, Scavenger is getting researched, as is Kitchen. Perfect. What to research next? So I've added building upgrades to that list if you want to vote for that. Not that we have to, but we'll build a kitchen soon. And here's the scav hut. So I'm going to hire 2 people into the scav hut. It requires full staff. Also, when they're deployed, they can't be furloughed. They have to, work. And now, let's collect berry seeds. So forming an expedition party, they get sent out and then they come back. I also really like the art for it, because you'll see like gliders fly out from the scav hut. So Super Frog and Big Brody, you're going scavenging. There they go. Alright, I'm not taking on more nomads yet. Actually, I'm going to build one more tent and then take them on. I'll take them on and then build the tent. So we'll stop adding them after this grouping. But we definitely have a lot of our food needs met. So speaking of food needs met, kitchen is going to be researched pretty soon. And then once we have kitchen, we'll be able to start cooking food. And cooking food allows you to like have higher quality meals, which is going to keep your villagers happy, and then also make more than the raw food, as you'll see in the recipe soon. Can you scavenge spots in the road? No. The stuff in the road you interact with, it's so the road stuff is never scavenged. Oh, also, I don't think I'm going to have you decide yet which direction to go. The southeast way is clearly mountain. I don't know what the northeast, but as we approach the crossroads, I'll trigger a polling. We're just not quite there yet. Herbalist will be next. Copy that. Do a quick search for berries. Oh, found one. And Onbu's up and away. Sleeping spots are also a quicker and more efficient way to recover rest. It's more recuperative sleep, which is why it's also another really good reason to get one. All right. I'm going to put another pantry in here, and then put the kitchen next to both pantries. So the current priority is build a kitchen. And the next research you guys wanted me to get is the herbalist, which I don't have the resources for. Actually, you know what? I'm going to, because they'll save up the resources. I'm going to disable research for a little bit until actually, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to, because feeding trebuchet was a runner-up and it doesn't compete with the same resources we'll need for herbalist. So I'll just get feeding trebuchet and then circle back to herbalist. When I'm going to dig the rubble? When I want to. I've got more urgent needs to meet, like starving. The rubble, if you're wondering, is clay and stone. It doesn't feed me. The woodcutter zone is almost out of spots, and then when your server team is done, they got 4 berry seeds, which are going to be stored in the scavenger hut and then eventually planted, but they're ready to redeploy out. So let's deploy to this forest to get some wood and mushrooms. And for the kitchen, we need basically just stone slabs. Right, this woodcutter hut ran out of stuff to cut, so I'm going to place them here. This one I'll move down there. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move this woodcutter hut even lower because I want to start passively clearing the way for more farms. Because I'm intending to have this area be farmland. Our bread basket will be down there. Alright, kitchen upgrades, if you're wondering. I guess we need to build it first before unlocking that tab. But I really like the kitchen upgrades. Again, little thumb on the scale. But they're pretty powerful, as you'll see. If Onbu runs out of range when the scavenger is action, they just come back, regardless, yes. So as long as when you first deploy, it's within the sphere of influence, that's the only requirement. So, like, if I am about to lose line of sight on a forest and I send scavengers out there, they'll still scavenge and come back. They'll never not come back. Unless they, like, die in some random event, which I don't think happens, but I don't want to say for sure because I haven't found all the random events. Kitchen upgrades are great. You feel like I already know which ones I'm going to go for? Yes. The kitchen upgrades are very... I'll have you guys decide if you do have building upgrades researched, which one I'm gonna go for, but like one is a lot more powerful than the other. With that said, you can have 2 kitchens and both with different upgrades. That's entirely plausible. If you want to go that route, there's nothing stopping you. And we're just getting inside the sphere of influence of this quarry, which has iron ore. It's pretty nice. So the next research. The scavenger hut. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to change any of the options available just yet. I'll sort of, because there's going to be way more options that I can even include in the poll. So I'm going to like curate a subset, which I think are the most useful. Four slabs away from having a kitchen going. There are random events where the entire team can die, but it's rare. Yeah, and some of them are like kind of obvious that that's what happens. A lot of the times it's like, this is dangerous, you should turn back. Do you turn back? Yes or no? If no, then yes, it was dangerous. It'll make more sense after we interact with some of these. So feeding trip just got done, and the follow-up here was for herbalism. I'm not going to queue up the herbalist just yet until we have the kitchen built, though, because it's going to start pulling slabs for the herbalist, and we're only 2 slabs away from the kitchen. But if we want the feeding trebuchet, the feeding trebuchet has to go up front, and maybe what we'll do is we'll stick it right in front of the hornblower. Hey, Varian, thank you for the resub. For a full year, too. Cheers. If you're wondering, you can have more than one scavenging team. So once I have some excess materials, it might make sense to get another scav hut. So if there's juicy scavenging targets out there, I can, you know, ramp it up and double the amount of teams as needed. Wow, we have got 8 berry seeds. With that, let's tell our berry planters to only plant. And then they, as I'm sure you can notice, fell behind the amount of harvesting that they had queued. So I'm going to help out with the laborers to add to that. All right, let's go ahead and go to the quarry. Get our first iron ore. I will not be adding these nomads right now. Well, I keep saying that, but I'm going to build 2 more houses and then add them on the houses. Add them into the houses that we are building for them. We're able to feed who we need to feed, at least right now. So I don't think we're going to have like an urgent food deficit. Now keep in mind that your food production rate will highly vary given the biomes that you're in. So right now we're farming tomatoes, which require a lot of labor, but have a lot of yield. Tomatoes give a lot of crop resource once harvested, but they require an immense amount of water. So depending on the biomes that we enter, our food production means will change dramatically. Just keep that in mind. Onbu getting pretty hungry. But don't worry, feeding trebuchet is almost done. So with the kitchen up, here are the building upgrades. Big pot, which doubles the speed, and spice rack, if we had ancient notes and salt, which has you cook just more meals per base ingredient. So here it is, berry muesli is like 3 berries to 3 berry muesli, which is a higher quality meal. But with the spice rack, you get 4 meals out of it. Which, a surprise to no one, is a really nice upgrade. Now, I don't have building upgrades researched yet, but if it did, I would have you choose between those two. Wow, this berry gatherer is almost maxed out. We've gotten so many seeds. Once I get a little bit closer to the crossroads, I'll have you guys choose direction. And the feeding trebuchet is ready to go. So I'm gonna throw some mushrooms at it. I don't have a kitchen to cook full meals, but at the very least, I can throw some mushrooms at Onbu and feed them that way. Now that the kitchen is built and the trebuchet is built, I'm queuing up the next research project, the herbalist, and then when I have all the resources needed, we can unlock that. So this will decrease Onbu's hunger by 15% and slightly increase trust towards me. It's not a very efficient food source, but because I've just been passively gathering the mushrooms on Onbu's back, it's not like I put a whole lot of labor in making a mushroom farm or anything like that. It's not a big deal that it's inefficient. Onbu's hunger is probably more important. Yo, it's me. What the hell? This villager has my name. Okay. I think all of the seeds that we have got planted already, so I'm going to put them back to plant and harvest. Thank you for tuning in to The Wandering Village, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, fellow villagers.